Hi there. Today I want to tell you a story, and it's the story of my first leather bag. So as I tell this story, I'm going to pepper in some pictures of just family pictures from when I was younger. I'm talking really younger, like 6th grade, 7th grade, and just with some fun 70s fashions. And there's a couple where my mother's looking particularly stylish. And so you'll get a perspective of how old I was when all of this was going on and just kind of make the video a little more fun. But yeah, so my very first leather bag. So I was getting ready to go into 6th grade. And in the district I lived in, 6th grade was middle school, 6th, 7th, and 8th. So I was moving up to the next level of school. So exciting. And I wanted a purse because I knew I was going to be moving from class to class. And my birthday's in August. And so the thing I asked for was a new purse. So my mother told my dad and my grandmother that I wanted a purse for my birthday. So I ended up with two purses. The one my dad got me was this blue corduroy, probably crossbody, but I never wore it crossbody. The strap might not have been long enough. Back in the 70s, the straps typically weren't as long as our crossbody straps are today. At first I thought, oh, this is great. This is my purse. Yay, wonderful. Well, a couple of days later, a package arrived from my grandmother who lived at that time in California. And it was a leather purse. And it smelled so good. It's my first experience smelling that leather smell. And I just loved this purse. Let me describe it. It was what you would call a saddle bag. It had a flap over the front and a strap. And it had this closure. And I'll try to find one like it that I can put into the video. But it just sort of, it slid and hooked into something like that. It was just, to me, it was cool all around. It was tooled and it had a scene. All I remember is it was a scene of horses. Seems like there was a couple of horses in a field. So now I had two bags. One my dad had given me and one my grandmother had given me. The one I wanted to carry was the one my grandmother had given me because it was this leather tooled, fabulous, wonderful purse. And I remember talking to my mother about it, and she gave her 2 cents worth and thought I should carry the one my dad gave me. And I just couldn't. I had to carry that fabulous tooled leather purse. So that's what I did. The first day of 6th grade, I carried that leather purse. And it actually got me a friend because the person I was sitting next to in a class she said, "Do you like horses?" And because it had horses on it. And her name was Barb, and I knew her for several years after that. But that was our sort of intro into friendship. So I carried that probably for a few days, maybe even a few weeks, but it became cumbersome because it was stiff. It was a veg tan, stiff leather bag. And I ended up switching to the corduroy blue one that my dad had given me, and I carried that probably the rest of the year. So it ended up being that I carried the one my dad gave me. But I never forgot, and I so wish I still had that leather purse with those horses on it that my grandmother gave me. That said, I've been going back through Etsy and eBay and looking for these old bags, and I've seen them, and they are going for a pretty good price. I mean, not good for the buyer, but good for a seller. So recently I was at an estate sale and I found a bag very similar, but not at all like the bag that I had, that first leather bag. And here it is. So you can get the idea of the structure of the bag that I was carrying. This area here wasn't on my bag. It was a plain flap with a tooled leather design. This one has a fabric inset. This closure is like an antler and it goes through like that. Mine was a brass closure. But look at the strap. The strap looks very familiar to me. It was a chunky, thick strap. This one's a couple of inches. Let's see, an inch and a half wide. Just very, very chunky, very sturdy. And this has some interesting detail on the side. You can see from the back that it's got leather lacing all the way around. And when we lift up the flap on this one, on the inside, you can see how it wouldn't open real wide. It was a little bit stiff and would bang against my body. I just ended up going for the more floppier bag. But this one actually has a pocket, which has seen better days, and the edges of it have frayed. But you can see the lacing on the inside. Nice chunky brass hardware. Big loops here holding it. Very sturdy. These things have held up. If they haven't gotten dried out and cracked, they've held up. When I search for one, I type in words like Boho Hippie 70s saddle bag, leather, and you'll get a bunch of options pop up. And they have various closures, various decorations. I never find two that are the same. The leather is a good veg tan, thick leather. I wish I knew about leather weights and stuff, but I don't. But it's a good, thick weight. But as you can see, these things were very structured. This wasn't a very floppy bag. It would be hard for me to throw it up underneath my chair. And when I was carrying it, let me go to the other side. When I was carrying it, I would also be carrying my books, and this thing would fall off my shoulder. And so it wasn't very practical for me to carry that one, but I did love it. And it was my first introduction to true leather handbag. You really couldn't go crossbody with this. It was meant to be carried like this. It was kind of uncool to carry your bag crossbody. It was very geeky. So you would want to carry your bag on your shoulder like that and not be very practical, because it was always falling off. So if you run across one of these at a garage sale or estate sale, I would recommend taking a second look at it. And if it's in good condition, if you resell or you just want it for yourself, these are pretty desired bags these days. Now, I think this one would look great if this inset was a tartan plaid. I just think this has a Scottish sporran vibe to it, especially with that sort of medieval design on the edge and this antler right here. Wouldn't that be cool with a Scottish tartan inset? And I've got to tell you, I'm tempted, because that is something I could probably do. But right now I have this for sale as it is. If it's something that doesn't sell, I might try to modify it. We'll see. I hope you've enjoyed some of the photos I put in. I don't even know what photos I'm going to pick right now, but I hope that I picked some that are somewhat interesting of 70s fashion and or lack thereof. Oh my gosh, I've looked through 1970s Sears catalogs, and what were they thinking? The plaid pants, and I had a pair of pants that had they had Jello boxes all over it. And there was plaid going on everywhere, mixing plaid this with wild colors. It was just, some of it was completely bonkers, and some of it, like what you see in Mad Men and stuff, was really cool. So it just all depends on which part of the 70s you're looking at. So that's the story of my first leather bag, and this one is going into my Etsy shop. There is a link below, and I will be attempting to sell it. So if you're interested in something like this, just check that out. And I hope you enjoyed that little walk down memory lane, and you guys have a great day. Bye-bye.